Whoa. The hell you think you're going, pal? It's private property and you're trespassing.
I'm going inside. I'm gonna burn it down.
Yeah, that's not happening, buddy.
Do you know what they do here?
Buddy, I'm counting to 3.
1, 2, 3. I did it for you.
The story begins with a man named Clay, who was once part of a special forces unit in a secret organization known as the Beekeepers. This group operated under the United States government and handled cases that were too sensitive for regular law enforcement. After retiring, Clay chooses to live a quiet life as a beekeeper. He rents a garage from an elderly woman named Mrs. Parker, where he now lives. Mrs. Parker is a retired school teacher who lives alone and spends her time running a charity that helps financially struggling women and children. She is happy to have Clay as her tenant because of his polite and kind nature, and Clay in return is grateful to her for giving him a place to stay. After finishing his work one day, Mrs. Parker invites Clay to join her for dinner while working on her laptop. Mrs. Parker suddenly receives a virus warning, claiming that her hard drive is infected. The message tells her to call a number to prevent losing her data. Without hesitation, she dials the number, not realizing it connects her to a criminal gang posing as an antivirus company and running phishing scams. As soon as she calls, a team of hackers gains remote access to her computer and starts tracking her financial activity. Since Mrs. Parker is not familiar with computers, she asks for help from the manager, Garnett. Confused by what she sees on her screen, she trusts his instructions. Garnett convinces her that everything happening is part of the repair process and then asks for her bank details, promising compensation for the inconvenience. Trusting him, Mrs. Parker shares her bank information and soon receives $50,000. However, Garnett then claims it was a mistake and says he was only supposed to send $500, asking her to return the extra money. Without suspecting anything, Mrs. Parker logs into her account to send it back. The moment she enters her password, all her money disappears. Garnett and his team successfully drain her account, stealing not only her savings but also the funds from her charity. While Mrs. Parker is left in shock, Clay is busy collecting honey and pouring it into a jar as a gift for her. When he arrives at her house, he immediately senses something is wrong. The house is quiet, and he cautiously grabs a knife from the kitchen. As he steps into the living room, he is met with a devastating sight. Mrs. Parker is dead, with a pistol lying beside her. At that moment, an FBI agent named Verona arrives, pointing her weapon at Clay. She assumes he is responsible for her mother's death, which makes the situation even more emotional and complicated. She calls the police, who quickly arrive, investigate the scene, and take Clay into custody for questioning. Despite her grief, Verona is determined to uncover the truth. During the investigation, she discovers evidence that her mother had been scammed by a criminal syndicate, running phishing operations disguised as antivirus services. The scammers had stolen all her money, including the charity funds. It becomes clear that Mrs. Parker's death was not a murder, and the police release Clay the next day. After his release, Verona visits Clay and apologizes for accusing him. She explains everything about her mother's death and reveals that the syndicate responsible has been evading the FBI for years. Upon hearing this, Clay decides to take matters into his own hands. He contacts the Beekeepers and asks them to track down the syndicate. Determined to get justice for Mrs. Parker, using their resources, the Beekeepers quickly identify the fraudulent antivirus company run by Garnett and pass the information to Clay. Without wasting time, Clay heads to their headquarters carrying 2 cans of gasoline. He takes down the security guards and enters the control room, where he confronts the employees. Clay attacks one of them to make a point and forces the rest to repeat a vow that they will never exploit vulnerable people again. He orders everyone to leave, then pours gasoline over the equipment. When Garnett and his men arrive, Clay easily defeats them. Before leaving, he rigs the place with an explosive device connected to a phone call and warns Garnett to run if he wants to live. Moments later, a call comes in, triggering a massive explosion that destroys much of the building. After the explosion, Garnett contacts his boss, Danforth, and explains that a man calling himself the Beekeeper destroyed their operation. Furious, Danforth orders him to hire thugs and eliminate Clay. Meanwhile, Verona hears about the explosion and feels a sense of satisfaction. The next day, Garnett and his hired men track Clay to his farm. While Clay is away, they destroy his beehives and follow him, unaware that he already knows they are coming. When Clay reaches his home, they attack him, but he fights back with deadly precision, killing all the thugs. He spares Garnett, but cuts off his fingers as a warning. Garnett manages to escape. At the same time, Verona is interrogating a UDG employee when she hears about a fire at her mother's house. She rushes there and finds Clay's garage burned down. Among the remains, she discovers an ID belonging to the fraudulent company, which makes her suspect that Clay is somehow connected to everything happening. Meanwhile, Garnett contacts Danforth again, reporting his failure and the loss of his fingers. As they speak, Clay suddenly appears and attacks Garnett while he is still on the call. He ties Garnett to the front of a car and drives it into the water, killing him. Danforth hears everything over the phone. Clay then picks up the phone and coldly tells Danforth that he is coming for him next. At the same time, Verona and her partner Matt try to find any information about Clay in government databases, but they find nothing. This leads Verona to believe that Clay must have been trained in a highly secret government program. It is revealed that Clay's identity is so secret that even the FBI has no records of him. Shortly after, Verona receives news that Garnett, a high-ranking member of UDG, has been found dead, drowned and tied to Clay's truck. At the same time, Danforth meets with Wallace, a former head of the CIA who now oversees his security. This arrangement was made at the request of Danforth's mother, Jessica, the newly elected president of the United States. She specifically wants Wallace to ensure her son's safety. When Wallace hears that Danforth is dealing with someone claiming to be the Beekeeper, he immediately takes the situation seriously and contacts the current CIA director, Janet, to ask about Clay. Janet informs him that Clay is a retired member of the Beekeepers. Without hesitation, Wallace orders her to eliminate him. Following his command, Janet contacts the Beekeepers and assigns one of their operatives, Anna, to assassinate Clay. Meanwhile, Clay is at a gas station refueling his vehicle when Anna suddenly ambushes him. However, Clay quickly turns the situation around, overpowering her with ease. He cuts off her fingers and sets her on fire, causing the gas station to explode in flames. After this incident, the Beekeepers inform the CIA that they will remain neutral and will not pursue Clay any further. Janet passes this message to Wallace, making it clear that both the CIA and the Beekeepers are stepping away from the conflict between Clay and Danforth. With no institutional support left, Wallace decides to handle the situation himself. He assembles a team of Special Forces operatives and reveals the existence of the Beekeepers to them. He presents Clay as a rogue agent whose actions pose a serious threat to innocent civilians. It's convincing them that Clay must be stopped. The next day, Verona and her partner Matt arrive at the burn-down gas station and find Anna's charred, unrecognizable body. It becomes clear that she was part of a secret government organization, though Verona still doesn't understand why she was targeting Clay. Meanwhile, Clay uses Anna's severed finger to access her home and her computer. From there, he traces Garnett's phone signal and discovers Danforth's location at the 9 Points building. After gathering weapons and explosives from Anna's place, Clay prepares for his next move. At the same time, Wallace's Special Forces team arrives at the 9 Points building, where an FBI SWAT team is already stationed outside, expecting Clay to attack. Despite the threat, Wallace allows the employees inside to continue working as if nothing is happening. Just like UDG, the company operating in the building, NSU, is also part of the same criminal syndicate running phishing scams. Soon, Clay arrives and catches the SWAT team off guard. Without hesitation, he attacks and takes them down with ease. After dealing with them, he enters the building and blends in among the employees. However, one of the Special Forces operatives recognizes him, triggering a full-scale attack. Clay fights back skillfully, eliminating the Special Forces members one by one until none are left. Afterward, he captures and interrogates Rico, one of NSU's executives, demanding to know who is really behind the operation. At first, Rico refuses, claiming the owner is too powerful to be touched by the law. But Clay makes it clear that no one is beyond his reach, especially if innocent lives are at stake. Fearful for his life, Rico finally reveals the identity of his boss. Just then, Verona and her team arrive with weapons drawn, but Clay manages to escape before they can capture him. Meanwhile, Verona and Matt uncover the truth. The mastermind behind both UDG and NSU is Danforth, the son of the president. These companies are part of Danforth Enterprises, a powerful firm that even supplies software to U.S. government agencies. Verona realizes that Clay may not only target Danforth, but could also put President Jessica in danger. Acting on this information, the deputy director assigns Verona and Matt the task of capturing Clay. While security around the president and her family is significantly increased, the next day, Verona and Matt joined Secret Service agents at a high-security charity event hosted at the president's beachfront mansion. Despite the heavy security presence, Wallace remains concerned for Danforth's safety. To strengthen their defenses, he hires a group of mercenaries led by Lazarus, a man who claims to have once taken down a beekeeper that cost him one of his legs. Meanwhile, Clay infiltrates the Danforth estate by sneaking through a drainage channel and hiding beneath a truck. He silently takes out a SWAT officer, plants explosives on multiple vehicles, and disguises himself to blend in with the guests at the event. Inside, evidence of Danforth's crimes is presented to President Jessica, including his use of company software and multiple shell companies to run phishing scams. When she learns that her campaign was funded with stolen money, she is furious. At the same time, Verona realizes Clay is inside the mansion and orders the SWAT team to capture him. Surrounded and held at gunpoint, Clay appears to surrender by kneeling down, but this is part of his plan. He detonates the explosives planted outside, creating chaos. Using the distraction, he quickly takes down the agents around him and storms into the mansion. Inside, President Jessica decides to expose her son's crimes in hopes of stopping the violence. Meanwhile, Clay fights his way through the building, injuring Secret Service agents, but showing no mercy to the mercenaries. Eventually, he reaches the hallway leading to the president's office, where he faces Lazarus in a brutal fight and defeats him. As Clay approaches the office, Wallace confronts him and tries to convince him not to kill Danforth. Ignoring him, Clay breaks Wallace's fingers and continues forward. Inside the office, Danforth becomes desperate as his mother prepares to reveal everything. In a panic, he grabs a gun and shoots the FBI deputy director. At the same time, Clay plants an explosive on the door and blasts his way inside. He enters the room, followed by Verona and other FBI agents. In desperation, Danforth takes his own mother hostage. Verona pleads with Clay not to harm them, while Danforth considers killing his mother to escape justice. In that tense moment, Clay asks Verona whether she is there to uphold the law or deliver justice. Seeing that Danforth is willing to harm even his own mother, Clay makes his decision. He shoots and kills Danforth. Immediately after, Clay escapes through a window. Verona has a clear shot at him but chooses not to fire, prioritizing justice for her mother and the victims over strict legal duty. In the end, Clay successfully escapes the mansion, using scuba gear he had hidden on the beach, disappearing without a trace. And that's a wrap on today's recap. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a plot twist. Got a movie you want recapped? Drop it in the comments below. This is DX Recap Shorts. See you in the next one.